The story of Avowed is pretty interesting. It was one of the most anticipated, hyped games of this year, and also, sadly, a complete and utter disappointment. And worst of all, it was an obvious disaster to happen. And my wife, Carrie Lake, the CEO of this game, and no, she does not know that we're married, and she probably doesn't know I exist, sadly, is now moving after destroying this game onto bigger, better things called Netflix. Because where does every woke loser go after ruining something that people hoped was gonna be good? Well, half the time it's Netflix. The other time it's still some kind of Microsoft company.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we go again. We have another major blow to the gaming industry happening right before our eyes. Carrie Patel, who was a longtime narrative
Look at her. She's honestly lovely, isn't she? And I'm not even British, and yet lovely.
designer and game director at Obsidian Entertainment, has officially announced her departure from the studio that she has been at for over a decade. This is the studio that was behind Avowed, the game that they all said they were going to support for years to come, and now she is
To be fair, it's getting a roadmap. The roadmap looks absolutely disappointing and devastating, watched in my previous video, but it is getting support.
jumping ship, one of the most anticipated RPGs of the decade that ended up just completely falling flat on its face in the dust of all controversy
True.
and failure. Even more shocking is that she's headed to Netflix Games. Yes, Netflix Games, the platform that nobody
Netflix games? What the hell is that?
users, nobody trusts for anything gaming related, or even remembered existed until the headline ran of her leaving Obsidian Entertainment.
I have never heard of this thing called Netflix games, I'm not gonna lie.
Today, we're diving deep into the fall of Avowed, what carried the party.
Also, by the way, just for your information, Carrie Lake is absolutely an insane story. You see, when you look at Carrie Lake's portfolio of work, you see absolutely nothing that puts her even remotely close to director status. She's effectively just skipping a couple of steps, but suddenly she's the director of Avowed. Now, granted, half of it was probably because Avowed got reworked like 15 times before she even got to it, and then her shot was the last shot. So maybe they were literally out of options, who knows? But the fact is, she, she never was even remotely close to being anyone who would ever be promoted to being the head of developing a game. And yet, here she was. Here she was.
Departure means for Obsidian, and how this is just another chapter in the continued suffering of the gaming industry in 2025. So get ready, this one's going to be a good one.
The source of the blight eludes us still. Just be careful. The Empire doesn't have many friends on these shores. And the Emperor would never forgive.
Special shout out to all of you 88,500 legends out there that are subscribed to this channel, and the slightly over 50% of you that are not subscribed. Consider hitting that subscribe button today. I would greatly appreciate it. So who's Carrie Patel? You know, Carrie Patel wasn't just another developer. I mean, she was in
Did I say Carrie Lake before? No, no, no. I would never misname my wife.
fact one of Obsidian's key narrative architects. If you liked the emotional depth of Pillars of Eternity, you would most likely have her to thank for that, even if it's slightly. Her pen sharpened some of the more intricate story arcs in modern RPGs, especially when it comes to Obsidian. But after years of being at Obsidian, she
That's giving her a little bit too much credit, I'm not gonna lie.
was promoted to director of Avowed, a game that was supposed to be the studio's spiritual successor to Skyrim, which was powered by Game Pass and Xbox Studios. And now she's gone. She left quietly, professionally, mind you, but still quietly. Make no mistake, this is a major red flag
Okay, Hypnotic's kind of glazing my wife a little bit too hard. I'm not a fan of this.
for everyone watching the gaming industry right now. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, when it was first announced that this game was going to be on Game Pass day one, everybody was scratching their heads. Everybody kind of already knew that this was probably not going to be a good sign for Avowed, because quite frankly, whenever a game like this goes on Game Pass, people are going to choose to play it there. That doesn't mean that the game is going to get any sales, because people are going to be renting the game instead of actually buying the game. Avowed is one of those video games that many people decided not to want to take home, even though there was a bunch of good video games.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, no one even wanted to rent Avowed. That's just the brutal reality of this game. It came out, we made a little bit of fun of it for its lackluster player numbers because it literally died in, well, 2, 3 days or something like that. It's pretty hilarious. A 90% player drop in 3 days. That's clappies. That's clappies in the chat.
Out there that have succeeded past a Game Pass. This was not one of them. Avowed 100% went to go die on Game Pass service. But when Avowed was first teased, fans, believe it or not, were actually hyped. It was a pretty big, or it was supposed to be a big fan.
Yeah, people were hyped. I was hyped. I was singing the praises of Avowed looking good until we got more trailers, and then it became pretty obvious that the game is gonna be really, really bad. And I was one of the people who actually, held out hope that it's gonna be good longer than others, okay? I was looking at it and I was saying, they could change this, they could make it better. And here we are.
Fantasy world, which had deep lore rooted in the Pillars of Eternity universe and was the first-person RPG combat which was akin to Skyrim, but made by legends behind Fallout New Vegas. What could possibly go wrong? Well,
I mean, everything can go wrong if the people who made New Vegas made this, because remember, boys, actually, is this better? I don't know. It's night, so, it's kind of big suck. Maybe I do it like this. Who honestly knows? Okay, so you have to remember, the people, the Obsidian, the people behind Fallout New Vegas, did their shot at making the Fallout New Vegas 2 into a new game, in their own game. And, yeah, no one liked it. No one really liked it. It was cheap. It was not taking any risks. It was dull. It was pretty boring.
Everything apparently. The game launched to mediocre reviews. Critics described it as uninspired, shallow, and rushed. Fans were equally harsh. Complaints flooded forums. Lifeless combat, bland environments, in a sense that Avowed was trying to be something that it just wasn't ready to be. The Steam numbers were disastrous. On launch week, the game could barely break 10,000 concurrent players, compared to Baldur's Gate 3 pulling in over 800,000, or even Oblivion Remastered holding steady at over 100,000 on sale week.
Now, to be absolutely fair, Oblivion Remastered did not come out at this point, but okay.
But even with the power of Game Pass behind it, Avowed just simply couldn't find an audience. It came and it went, and most players barely noticed. Now, me personally, I played Avowed. I played it to completion.
Rest in piss, my dude. What a waste of oxygen. What a waste of time.
This game had some of the most boring dialogue I've ever experienced.
Yeah, that's just a bad choice, okay? Also, I mean, you saw it in the trailers, okay? Not a single woman in this game even looks remotely like a woman. Every woman looks like a man.
Oriented an RPG video game. The combat system was unbelievably simplistic. I went through the entire video game using the same 3 skills for the entirety of the game once I had.
Yep, he actually did play through it. Wow. Because this game has one giant flaw, and that is, well, you load in, you kill your first enemy, and congratulations, you're playing now forever the same weapons because there's never reason to swap.
Had unlocked them early in the game. There was literally nothing else that I did different other than use maybe a healing item here and there. It was so plain. It was what I would call baby's first RPG, and I am not surprised that the game flopped. I almost pretty much expected the game to flop, even besides all the controversy. Taking all the controversy out of the actual game, the game itself, when standing on its own merit, was a boring baby's first RPG that had great exploration in the game.
No, the reason why we talk about these directors being idiots and woke activists and whatnot is very simple. And that is because, dude, do I really look too white because of this lighting? Is this better? Nah, kind of fucked up anyway, but I guess we're sticking with it. Yeah. Oh, this is even worse. Jesus. Anyway, now this hurts my eyes. The reason that I got a cool lamp that has 3 modes. None of them make sense. Anyway, the reason why we always look at these things, the director, the CEO, the this and that, the art designer, being a spastic lunatic and starting a Twitter thread about how great he is and how everyone who doesn't like their game is a bad person. The reason that we pay attention to this is because someone that insane is never gonna not bring their insanity into their work. So if you find someone that unhinged doing these things, you can bet, bet that all of that insanity is gonna be in the game. It's gonna be represented there. It's gonna be represented. It's gonna be stupid and bad. Okay, and that the other people are probably exactly like this person working on the project. That's the reality of this, because you can't have the CEO be insane and then expect the CEO to hire normal people to make the game. Okay, the rot starts at the head, exists for a reason.
game, but that's literally it. That's the only thing I had fun with in the game, which was the exploration and looking for every nook and cranny throughout the map. Aside from that, the game was extremely boring, extremely simple, and extremely unsatisfying, and it deserves to be on Game Pass. Just let it be the most rented game out there. Who cares? So let's talk about Game Pass, right? It's the golden goose for Xbox, the place
It didn't even have people on Game Pass. What the fuck?
where, your average games can go and just thrive just being accessible on Game Pass. Well, that's becoming a myth because overall, Avowed's failure proves that Game Pass or being on Game Pass just isn't enough. Players might download the game, but that doesn't mean they'll play it, or that doesn't mean they'll buy it, or worse, it doesn't mean they'll enjoy it. Game Pass has become a digital landfill of half-baked games, forgotten projects, and corporate quota fillers. Avowed was supposed to rise above that, but instead it became the poster child for Game Pass filler content. And now the part that raised everyone's eyebrows, Carrie Patel's headed to Netflix Games. Yes, Netflix, known for streaming shows and not crafting engaging AAA RPGs. Netflix Games has been a joke since day one. No
Dude, this is gonna be the same as Amazon games. Remember Amazon games? They shut down, by the way. And you know what's the most hilarious thing? You probably are thinking, oh, Amazon games. The guys who made New World, that trash bag? Yes, that one. Turns out Amazon Games has existed for like 10 plus years at this point, and no one knew. And when they shut down, the CEO says, we tried to fight Steam and we couldn't win. Well, bro, what do you mean you tried to fight Steam? No one even knew you existed. How did you, how did you try to fight Steam? Like, what did you do? They actually have, like, a bunch of games, turns out. Holy. And this is the same with Netflix games. They probably exist for a couple of years now. No one knows what they are. And then they're gonna shut down and say, oh, we tried to fight Steam. It's such a joke.
one talks about it, no one uses it, and no one trusts it to deliver real gaming experiences. It's mobile-centric, experimental, and barely part of the mainstream conversation at all. So going from Obsidian, an established, respected RPG studio, to Netflix is like going from the big leagues to coaching a little league team that nobody watches. So why does she leave? Creative freedom? Burnout? Or is the ship sinking and she's one of the first rats?
Because that's smart. That's how you get ahead in life, okay? You work at something for a year, maybe two, if the payoff is good enough, and then you just advance. That's the secret, okay? The reality is everyone is smart enough to be a manager, but no one tries to be a manager. That's like the thing. No one really tries to be a manager. You think everyone's trying to be like the CEO of a company? Hell no! That's why, dude. The reason the reason you have people who literally have all a track record of 100% destroying companies that they work in as CEOs, and they get put as new CEOs is because, well, one, you don't want to trust an inexperienced CEO, but two is no one's actually gunning for the CEO position. That's just the reality. There's not a lot of people who are gunning for these big time positions. In a lot of cases, the fight for a high paying job is not actually that big. So you do have chances to move up like her, or you could lay on your back. Pick one.
Jumping off the ship. Obsidian is in trouble. Let's not sugarcoat it. Avowed was their chance to prove that they could lead the Xbox RPG charge along Bethesda. Instead, they delivered a flop. one that likely cost tens of millions of dollars, and now their creative leads are walking out the door. Internally, morale has to be low. You don't just lose your director after a game launch and bounce back. You lose direction, momentum, and possibly even more staff. Rumors are already swirling about pending layoffs. Microsoft has already axed entire teams in 2024 and 2025. Redfall Studio, gone. Hi-Fi Rush's team,
Base.
gone. What's stopping them from trimming down Obsidian Entertainment? Nothing. So let's zoom out a little bit though and take a look at the overall situation that's happening right now in the gaming industry in 2025, because let's be honest here with ourselves in this video, it's been pretty brutal. The gaming industry has been absolutely rammed through for the entirety of 2024, and 2025 has been no different. Studios are shuttering and closing down. Games
I would say that's a good thing. Most AAA, we are currently at a very interesting point in history where AAA studios don't deliver anything. They just make crap and crap again. And now all the good games in 2025, 2024, most good games that you can remember are done by AA studios at this point.
are flopping left and right. Layoffs are happening monthly. Even massive titles like Doom: The Dark Ages and Assassin's Creed Shadows are struggling to make waves. Price tags are going up, quality is going down, and gamers are losing trust. Meanwhile,
Doom: The Dark Ages is kind of bad in a lot of aspects. Okay, the giant fight, no impact. The air segments with the gay dragon, kind of gay, and generally the game is like a hit or miss for a lot of people because it's like PoE 1 versus PoE 2, zooming versus a more methodical approach, and Doom: The Dark Ages is zooming, so that's a huge negative for anyone who doesn't want that. A huge boon to people who do want that, but I mean, an $80 price tag. I mean, you can buy a lot of drugs for that. That doesn't seem worth it. All the currently best, most beloved games that are selling in the millions cost 40 buckaroos or maybe 50. It's kind of hard to compete with that.
executives double down on live service garbage, AI content, and monetization schemes that nobody asked for. While indie titles like Expedition 33 and Oblivion Remaster outperform big budget flops, the message is very clear. We're not getting what we're paying for. Obsidian isn't the only one that's hurting, but they might be next on the chopping block. The sad truth of the matter is that people are making decisions known as time goes on more than ever. Gamers are out here making the decision to buy XYZ game that's going to give them the best value because money gets tighter as the prices keep going up. Sure, you're going to have CEOs that are going to say you're not a real fan unless you spend full price on their video game. Good luck with that. You're going to have shows out there that are going to claim the games are amazing, there's nothing wrong with them, and you're just a chud hater who's rage bait farming. And meanwhile,
okay, the woke Glazers, no one cares about them anymore. Okay, people are done. People are absolutely done with the concept of, oh, this game sold 5 copies, but it was a success. Get the fuck out. No one believes that.
while most of them don't even buy their games, they get gifted
Why are you
from
lying?
the actual studios and they get free review copies. There's just how it goes.
Also, a big problem of Avowed is the fact that, hey, you dive in, find a treasure chest. What's in the treasure chest? Green arrow, go up 1 more strength. Oh, very cool.
But at the end of the day, the gaming industry has been suffering throughout the last 2 years. And sure, the shills, the journalists, and everybody in between can sit here and try to pretend like this is not happening. But every time they say it's not happening, there's a new headline that comes out that proves that it is. This is the same exact thing. There is no reason this woman would want to leave her company that she's been with for over a decade, Obsidian Entertainment, for a established studio, a studio that, yes, I understand they released Avowed and nobody liked it, but they still were the ones behind New Vegas and people respected them for it. You are deciding to leave Xbox.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get this point. But what if you have, well, like, who cares? Dude, do you want to be like a story writer for Xbox or a CEO somewhere else? I'll pick CEO somewhere else.
To go work for Netflix Games. That is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard in my life. And unless Netflix Games was giving you an insane amount of money, which, let it be known,
Hey, was this a joke? Netflix Pepe the Pig. What the hell?
let it be known, they probably are. I just don't see any other reason why you would want to leave Xbox, and everything that comes with that to go work for Netflix games, which nobody knows and barely anybody utilizes. It is a weird move, and it seems like it's a move that comes out of necessity and doesn't come out of something that she wants to do creatively. I think it's a move that she had to do. It's a move that ultimately seems like someone who's about to get fired. Maybe being the director over at Obsidian Entertainment, perhaps she knew of certain things that were coming her way in the actual company.
Well, yeah, no shit.
Perhaps that after everything that happened with Avowed, she probably realized that, wow, you know, the door's about to be closed shut here. Let me start looking for a new job and see what I can do. Ultimately, whatever the decision may be, Carrie Patel made a very strange one, and I'm sure it's going to pay off for her financially, but from the resume standpoint and from a career standpoint, I just question the move. So what comes next? I mean, Carrie Patel's exit to Netflix games is a symptom, not a disease, right? The disease is the industry that's bloated with investor...
Wait. Is she not like what is her position gonna be in Netflix games? Isn't she gonna be like like some kind of big shot?
expectations, crushed under the weight of its own hype, and increasingly disconnected from the players. Obsidian might survive this. They might...
Let's actually check if we can find it. Kari Patel work history, that's me. Actually, let's check. Maybe there's something new with work history. LinkedIn. Kari Patel, boys, let's see. Oh, no picture, my wife. God damn it. So disappointing. Night school at Netflix Game Studios. Ah, wait, I need to open this in another browser. Okay, let's check, boyos. Let's check what are we gonna see. Kari Patel, Night School, a Netflix game studio. We make story games and we make stories, games and story games. What a description! Amazing. Doesn't say what she is. Obsidian game director, senior narrative designer, game director. Jesus. Yeah, like it doesn't say what she actually does. Oh wait, no, it says game director. Yeah, so she's just moving up a notch. Okay, listen, yeah, this is a move up. I don't understand what's the problem here. She is moving up in her career. My wife is making moves, okay? My wife's doing things. How dare you? Yeah. So it doesn't matter that Obsidian is tied with Microsoft. Microsoft, for their big positions, already has a bunch of people who are established, known, and whatnot. The chances of Carrie Patel scoring, you know, director role for anything in Microsoft and a bigger thing, close to zero. But you know, going to Netflix, a giant company, and leading their gaming division or whatever the fuck, for a studio under Netflix, arguably that's better because Obsidian is nothing for Microsoft. Obsidian has no weight. Obsidian holds no water. It's trash.
even bounce back, but they've lost a key leader. They lost consumer trust, and they lost the war for RPG
Yeah, so the fact that she's leaving is she wins big.
supremacy in 2025. So the question remains, how many more studios have to fall before the industry learns that gamers want good games and not live service garbage, not $70, $80 unfinished products, not AI written dialogue, just passion, polish, and playability? Expedition 33 is a prime example of what you should be aiming for as a studio, and yet it seems like a bunch of studios are allergic to giving the gamer exactly that kind of experience. And then here you have Sandfall Interactive, a brand new studio made from developers that used to work at Ubisoft. They were extremely bored working over there because they were creatively stifled. They decided to make their own studio, and they ended up creating an absolute banger of a video game that everybody and their mother, regardless of being on Game Pass, decided to purchase and take home. Whereas you have games like this, like Avowed, that had the same exact scenario, except they came out from an established studio that everybody already knew, so the hype was already there. All of a sudden, just falls flat on its face, and nobody wants to buy it, and people are trying to say, well, it's on Game Pass, and that's why.
Well, all of a sudden is not a correct way of putting it.
Well, Expedition 33 is also on Game Pass. Keep in mind, the most hilarious thing about all of this is that Avowed was a full-priced video game, and yet here comes Expedition 33 with all intents and purposes that offers more content than Avowed does, and it was offered at a $20 less price point. Avowed was released
True. Well, in any case, that was hypnotic. Nice.